Guys and girls, I'm Obsidian Ant and welcome back to the Long Dark. As you can see here, I'm about to undertake the challenge mode where we get hunted by the old bear. Now this guy has been around for some time and he's a bit beat up and he's certainly a bit grumpy and he seems to be taking out on us. So we've got to survive for as long as possible. Got to make our way to the hunter's cabin where we can find a rifle and then hunt him in return. But like a fool, I didn't get out the way of this guy fast enough, and this was about the extent of my first playthrough on the challenge mode. Just a few minutes then, but luckily I learnt my lesson very quickly, and on the second attempt made my way into the basement as fast as I possibly could. Now this area here, it starts a little bit different. You always start in the same location, let's put it that way, every time you start the challenge mode, but the contents of the cellar here will differ, although you always get the little flare gun here. And this is very good because it enables you to scare off wolves, although I don't know yet if it will be any good at scaring off the big old bear. Probably not, because apparently the only way of killing him is by using the hunter's rifle, and we've got to spend quite a time finding that. So this place has got a bit of food and a bit of water, but as the difficulty mode of this challenge is very, very high, you freeze, you starve, and you get thirsty extremely quickly. So after being taken out by the bear very nearly there, I've healed up and it's now time to have a bit of a sleep. 8 hours in fact. I don't think that's enough to get fully rested, but I don't want to stay here all night. I want to keep a few hours of daylight remaining so I can go out and explore and try and find a few more resources. Not only is the environment outside extremely hostile, but the wildlife is not friendly either. Hopefully the bear is long gone, but I've also got to keep an eye out for wolves, and I'm going to keep my little flare gun handy here and make sure to reload it. I've been out before using this and didn't keep any flares in there, so when it come to needing it, it was of no use. So out we go and have a look. Now this is basically in the Pleasant Valley area of the game. There's a few different zones and we've got to make it all the way across this zone to the other zone called Mystery Lake, where the trapper's cabin is located. I know Mystery Lake fairly well by now, but I have only a vague understanding of the layout of Pleasant Valley, and as there's no in-game maps, you have to rely entirely on your memory of the area. So finding the exit from Pleasant Valley into Mystery Lake is going to be a bit of a challenge indeed, but I do know I think I'm facing east here, and if I head south I should be able to find another prepper cache that will contain some food and hopefully a few other resources. The problem, of course, is that you always need to keep an eye on the environment here. You can freeze all too quickly, and as you can see my thirst levels have got a bit too low, so this can of soda come in just in time. There's a frozen body over here. No idea how long he's been here, but as he's not buried in snow, it's probably not all that long. Unfortunately, he didn't have anything of any use, but the wood always comes in useful. But then again, to use the wood, you really need to find a wood burner. You can make little live fires, but they're nowhere near as good as when you get wood burners. So again, quite a few resources around here. But it was about at this time that I realised I was spending a little bit too long in this same area. And I've always found that on this difficulty level, if you stay too long in one particular area, you invariably end up with wolves coming after you. I don't know if that's just coincidence or whether that's part of the game design, but it's always a good idea to keep moving. And picking up these sticks is also a pretty good idea. So I'm going to start heading south, or at least what I believe is south, over to the left of me. Oh, you can hear a wolf, so yeah, I knew I was in a bit of a trouble here. Depends whether or not you can actually get off a flare at it. Now aiming in this game can be a little bit difficult. I usually use keyboard and mouse, but sometimes when I'm recording I like to use joypad, as that gives much smoother camera movements, and I think people tend to enjoy watching that a little bit more. So very nearly got the wolf there, but that was enough to scare him off, at least for now. So time to keep moving, time to keep picking up sticks, because we're going to need these when we eventually get to a place where we can build a fire. So as I was just about to say a moment ago before the wolf rudely interrupted us, off to my right now I believe is east. That's where the sun was rising when the bear attacked. But unfortunately the wolf is not going to give up, and rather than standing to fight here, probably a good idea, I could have just stood there and aimed my weapon waiting for the wolf to come in range. I turned my back on it. Foolish thing to do, because even with an axe here, the axe which I found in the cellar, it just wasn't enough. You can see I've managed to survive with just a very little bit of health here. I tried to heal up, but it was just no good, not enough time, and ultimately I died right here. So another attempt then. This now is probably about my 8th attempt, and we'll see how we get underway this time. So one more bear attack later, I once again stripped out the entire cellar and moved south, only to once again be confronted by a wolf here. But this time I had my wits around me a little bit better and managed to hit him right in the head with the flare. They usually roam off a little bit, the wolves, not too happy to die somewhere else. So unfortunately I've got no time to track him down. You can see I've only a 27% condition there, and that's because I'm now freezing. I've been out here a little bit too long. I'm probably going to end up a little bit like this frozen corpse if I don't find some shelter. And unfortunately I'm now lost. I did intend on going south, but I've got turned about a bit too much, so I've really got no clue where I am at this point. But I did find this little hunter's refuge here, and in here I was hoping to find a cache of something, but all I managed to find was a hunting knife. Not too bad though, because at this point I didn't have an axe already. The axe I've had on the previous save I found in the cellar, but on this occasion there was no hunting weapon in there at all. So a little bit further on, getting very, very close to freezing to death now, and I found these two little huts here. Unfortunately both of them completely abandoned, but sometimes they have some resources in them, and if you strike lucky you'll find one with a functioning wood burner. Now I've got pretty much everything I need to light a fire. Unfortunately I don't have any fuel accelerant this time, so there's no guarantees I'm going to be able to light the fire, even if there is a burner in here, which there actually is. So let's give it a go. Wood stove. We've got, what, a 50% chance there, 60% chance of lighting this, and those chances will either decrease or increase depending on what type of fuel I use. And as I cycle through them, you can see the success chances actually changing there. Now this is often an edge of your seat moment, limited on resources, about to die due to being frozen, and this is really the only chance of actually getting a successful fire because I haven't got any more resources beyond this. Now sometimes the fire fouls very early on in the starting phase, sometimes it fouls near the end. But I desperately need a fire at this point because it's going to hugely improve my chance of survival out here. And is it going to be? What's it going to be? It's going to be failure. So perhaps I should have looked in here first. Let's see if there's any fuel accelerant here. And unfortunately, there's nothing that's really going to help me light a fire. And now I've got nothing to continue lighting the fire with. So I guess it's back out there into the frozen wastelands. And we really are seeing just how difficult this challenge actually is. We'll pick this up at another point. As always, thanks for watching. And I'll catch you guys and girls next time.